Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2, 1869, in the coastal town of Porbandar, located in present-day Gujarat, India. His birth name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and he belonged to a respected Hindu family of the Vaishya, merchant, caste. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, served as a Diwan, or chief minister, to the local princely ruler. His mother, Putlabai, was deeply religious and influenced young Mohandas with her commitment to prayer, fasting, and simple living. Growing up in a household where both politics and spirituality were present, Mohandas was exposed to many values that would later shape his worldview: honesty, duty, tolerance, and self-discipline. Despite the spiritual atmosphere at home, Gandhi was not an extraordinary student in school. In fact, he described himself as shy, quiet, and even a little bit afraid of speaking in front of others. He did not enjoy sports and preferred spending time alone or reading. Gandhi's early education took place in Porbandar and later in Rajkot, another town in Gujarat. As a child, he was curious but not academically outstanding. He followed instructions and worked hard but never showed great brilliance in his studies. What stood out more was his moral sense. From a young age, Gandhi was interested in truth. In one famous incident, a school inspector came to examine the students. During a spelling test, Gandhi misspelled a word. The teacher tried to signal him to copy the correct spelling from his neighbor's slate, but Gandhi refused. He later explained that he could not bring himself to cheat, even if it meant getting the answer wrong. At the age of 13, Gandhi was married to Kasturba Mukherjee, a girl of the same age, in an arranged child marriage, which was common at the time. He later wrote openly about how marriage at such a young age distracted him from school and created personal struggles. Despite this, their relationship would later grow into a partnership based on deep respect and mutual sacrifice. When Gandhi was 16, his father fell ill. Gandhi often sat by his father's side, massaging his legs or helping him through the night. One evening, after being with his father for hours, Gandhi left his bedside to be with his wife. While he was away, his father passed away. This moment left him with lasting guilt, and he later referred to it as one of the darkest memories of his life. In 1887, at the age of 18, Gandhi passed his matriculation exams and enrolled in Samaldas College in Bhavnagar. However, he struggled to fit in. The lectures were in English, and he found the teaching difficult to follow. He also felt isolated and uncomfortable being away from home. After just a short time, he left college. Around this time, Gandhi's family began to consider what he should do next. Some family members suggested he travel to London to study law and become a barrister, a type of lawyer trained in the British legal system. Gandhi was excited by the idea. It would be a chance to broaden his mind, travel to a new country, and build a respected career. However, there were obstacles. Some people in his caste opposed the idea of traveling overseas, believing it would make him impure. Gandhi promised them that he would not eat meat, drink alcohol, or behave in any way that would disrespect his religion and culture. With his mother's blessing and his brother's financial support, Gandhi set sail for England in 1888. London in the late 19th century was a world completely unlike anything Gandhi had experienced before. He was fascinated by the modernity, the fashion, the food, and the manners of English society. At first, he tried hard to fit in. He bought a suit, took dance lessons, and even tried to improve his English accent. But these efforts felt unnatural, and he soon realized that he was losing touch with who he really was. More importantly, Gandhi struggled with the cultural differences in food. As a vegetarian, he found it difficult to eat in many places. But instead of giving up, he discovered the London Vegetarian Society, where he found like-minded people and began reading books about vegetarianism, ethics, and philosophy. He started to connect his food choices with his moral values. This was one of the first times Gandhi began to understand the power of self-discipline and personal conviction. During his time in London, Gandhi also studied religious texts, not only Hindu scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, but also the Bible, and writings from Buddhism, Islam, and other world philosophies. He was deeply influenced by Leo Tolstoy, a Russian writer and thinker, who wrote about nonviolence, love, and simplicity. These readings slowly began to shape Gandhi's beliefs about justice, truth, and peaceful resistance. After 3 years in London, Gandhi passed the bar exam in 1891 and officially became a qualified barrister. He returned to India full of hope, ready to begin his career in law. But when he tried to practice law in Bombay, he failed to make a strong impression. He was too shy to speak in court, too nervous to argue cases, and struggled to connect with clients. He realized that while he had a law degree, he lacked real experience and confidence. It was at this moment, when his career in India was failing, that an opportunity came from South Africa. A small Indian firm offered him a 1-year contract to assist in a legal case in Natal, a British colony in southern Africa. Gandhi accepted the offer, not knowing that this move would change his life forever and set him on the path to becoming Mahatma, or Great Soul. But before the world would know him as the leader of India's non-violent movement, Gandhi was simply a young man searching for identity, truth, and a purpose. His early years were filled with quiet struggles, self-doubt, and deep moral exploration. These experiences, both painful and powerful, were the foundation of everything he would later become. After completing his law degree in London, Mohandas Gandhi returned to India in 1891, filled with ambition and a desire to serve. However, his early career in Bombay didn't go as planned. Struggling to find work and overcome his shyness in court, Gandhi soon accepted an unexpected job offer. It was a 1-year contract to work for an Indian firm in Natal, South Africa. Little did he know, this journey would become one of the most defining chapters of his life. When Gandhi arrived in South Africa in 1893, he was just 24 years old. At that time, South Africa was under British colonial rule, and the society was deeply divided by race. Indians living there, many of whom were indentured laborers, faced widespread discrimination, segregation, and institutionalized racism. Gandhi, who had grown up under British influence and dressed like an English gentleman, was completely unprepared for the humiliation he would soon experience. Just a few days after arriving, Gandhi had to travel by train to Pretoria for a legal case. Holding a first-class ticket, he boarded the train confidently. But when a white passenger objected to sharing the compartment with a colored man, the train officials ordered Gandhi to move to third class. He refused. As a result, he was thrown off the train at the Pietermaritzburg station and left to spend the cold night alone in the station's waiting room. This single moment, being kicked off the train, was a turning point. Gandhi later said that night, shivering in the dark, he made a decision. He would not accept injustice quietly. Instead, he would begin to fight, not with violence or hatred, but with truth and courage. In the years that followed, Gandhi became deeply involved in the struggles of the Indian community in South Africa. He witnessed Indian laborers being treated as second-class citizens. They were denied basic rights, subject to pass laws, and treated unfairly by the government. Gandhi began organizing resistance. But he believed that violence would only create more suffering. Inspired by religious and philosophical ideas, particularly from Hinduism, Christianity, and Jainism, he developed a new method of protest. He called it satyagraha, which means truth force or soul force. It was a philosophy based on nonviolent resistance, self-discipline, and inner strength. According to satyagraha, the idea was not to defeat your opponent with anger, but to transform them with truth and love. It was a revolutionary idea at the time. In 1894, Gandhi helped establish the Natal Indian Congress, a political organization that gave a voice to Indians in South Africa. He started writing letters, organizing petitions, and leading peaceful protests. He also began using the press as a powerful tool, publishing articles in newspapers to spread awareness. One of his most famous campaigns came in 1906, when the government of the Transvaal region passed a new law requiring all Indians to register and carry special ID passes. Gandhi called on the Indian community to resist the law, even if it meant going to jail. thousands of Indians burned their passes and were arrested. Gandhi himself was imprisoned several times, but his calm and principled stand drew international attention. Gandhi also believed in living simply. During his time in South Africa, he started experimenting with vegetarianism, celibacy, and self-discipline. He gave up expensive clothes and began wearing simple Indian garments made from homespun cloth. These practices became deeply tied to his identity as a leader. He also focused on building communities, such as the Phoenix Settlement and Tolstoy Farm, where people of all races could live and work together in peace. These settlements were based on equality, hard work, and spiritual growth. They were, in many ways, small experiments in the kind of society Gandhi wanted to see in the world. By the time Gandhi left South Africa in 1915, after spending 21 years there, he was no longer just a lawyer. He had become a seasoned activist, a spiritual leader, and the voice of a growing movement. He had refined the tools, nonviolence, self-discipline, and community action, that he would later use to challenge the British Empire in India. The fires of Satyagraha, which were first lit in the railway station at Pietermaritzburg, would go on to illuminate the path of freedom, not only for India but for oppressed people around the world. After spending over 2 decades in South Africa fighting against racial injustice and developing the principles of non-violent resistance, Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in 1915. He was no longer just a young lawyer from Gujarat, he was now a recognized activist with a powerful philosophy and a deep sense of purpose. His return was not loud or attention-seeking. In fact, he spent his first year back in India traveling quietly across the country, observing, listening, and understanding the real conditions of Indian people. Gandhi realized that the majority of India's population lived in villages, far away from the political centers of power. Most people were poor, uneducated, and struggling under the heavy burdens of colonial rule. British taxes were high, farmers were losing their land, and industries were being crushed under foreign control. Gandhi also noticed the deep divisions in Indian society, between rich and poor, between different religions, and even between castes. He believed that if India were to achieve true freedom, it needed to unite from the bottom up. At the same time, the Indian National Congress, the main political party fighting for independence, was still largely led by elite, Western-educated men who had little contact with the common people. Gandhi's arrival brought something new. He wasn't interested in formal politics or making speeches from podiums. He wanted to connect directly with the masses. He dressed like them, spoke their language, and shared their struggles. His first major involvement in Indian activism was in the Champaran district of Bihar, where local farmers were being forced to grow indigo under unfair conditions imposed by British landlords. Gandhi went there in 1917 and stayed with the villagers. He organized protests, collected testimonies, and negotiated with the British authorities. The result was a major success. The farmers won the right to grow their own crops, and Gandhi proved that peaceful resistance could bring real change. Following this, Gandhi took part in other local movements across India, helping textile workers in Ahmedabad fight for fair wages, and supporting peasants in Kedah during a famine when they couldn't pay taxes. These actions slowly built his reputation as a leader who stood with the people, not above them. In 1919, the political climate changed dramatically. The British passed the Rowlatt Act, which allowed them to imprison anyone suspected of anti-government activities without a trial. This angered Indians across the country. Gandhi called for a nationwide hartal, a day of non-violent strike and protest. The movement was widely supported, but also led to violence in some areas. Then came the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, where British troops opened fire on a peaceful gathering, killing hundreds of innocent people. This horrific event deeply affected Gandhi and confirmed his belief that India could no longer tolerate British rule. By the early 1920s, Gandhi had emerged as the most influential figure in Indian politics. He became a central leader of the Indian National Congress and transformed it into a mass movement. He launched the non-cooperation movement, encouraging Indians to boycott British schools, courts, clothes, and jobs. Instead of fighting with weapons, he urged people to resist with dignity, self-reliance, and civil disobedience. One of Gandhi's most powerful messages was the idea of Swaraj, or self-rule. But for Gandhi, Swaraj wasn't just political independence. It also meant economic independence, social justice, and moral development. He promoted khadi, homespun cloth, as a way for Indians to break their dependence on British goods. He set up ashrams, where people lived simply, worked together, and practiced equality across religion and caste. As Gandhi's influence grew, so did opposition. Some thought his methods were too slow, others believed he was too idealistic. But even his critics couldn't deny the massive impact he was having. He was bringing together Hindus and Muslims, farmers and factory workers, students and spiritual leaders. For the first time, millions of Indians felt like they were part of a shared mission, to reclaim their dignity and their country. By the end of the 1920s, Mahatma Gandhi had become more than just a political leader. He was a moral force, a national icon, and a symbol of peaceful resistance not just in India, but around the world. His journey from a lawyer in South Africa to the heart of India's independence movement was well underway. But the biggest challenges, and the greatest victories, were still to come. When Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in 1915, he brought with him not only years of experience from South Africa but also a firm belief in the power of non-violence. He observed the widespread poverty, the deep social divisions, and the oppressive nature of British colonial rule. Rather than jumping immediately into national politics, Gandhi spent the first few years traveling across India, learning about the lives of common people. He wanted to understand their suffering firsthand before taking any political action. In 1917, he took up the cause of poor farmers in Sharpen, Bihar, who were being forced by British landlords to grow indigo under terrible conditions. Gandhi led a peaceful protest and negotiations that eventually brought justice to the farmers. This success made him a respected leader among both the masses and the Indian National Congress, which was the main political body fighting for India's freedom. Then, in 1919, came a turning point. The British passed the Rowlatt Act, a law that allowed them to arrest and imprison people without trial. Gandhi responded by calling for a nationwide strike, urging people to close their shops, stay home from work, and protest peacefully. However, in Amritsar, the protest ended in tragedy. British soldiers, under General Dyer's command, fired on a large group of unarmed civilians gathered in Jallianwala Bagh, killing hundreds. This horrific event shocked the nation and deeply affected Gandhi. It was now clear to him that British rule was not just unjust, it was violent and dangerous. In response, Gandhi launched the non-cooperation movement in 1920. He encouraged Indians to boycott British goods, schools, courts, and even jobs. He told them to spin their own cloth and live simply. He wanted Indians to become self-reliant and reject the British system completely. For the first time, millions of Indians across villages and cities joined the movement. However, after a violent clash in Chauri Chaura in 1922 where police officers were killed by angry protesters, Gandhi called off the campaign. He insisted that freedom gained through violence was not true freedom. Despite setbacks, Gandhi remained committed to non-violence. In 1930, he launched one of the most iconic acts of civil disobedience in history, the Salt March. At that time, the British had a monopoly on salt, making it illegal for Indians to produce or sell it. Gandhi walked over 240 miles to the Arabian Sea with a group of followers, where he picked up a lump of salt from the shore, symbolically breaking the law. The march captured the attention of the world, and thousands joined in protest. It marked a significant moment in India's freedom struggle. Over the next decade, Gandhi continued to push for independence through peaceful means. In 1942, during World War II, he launched the Quit India movement, demanding that the British leave India immediately. His slogan was clear, "Do or die." In response, the British arrested Gandhi and many other leaders. He was imprisoned for nearly 2 years, and during this time, his health declined and his wife Kasturba passed away in jail. Even after these personal losses, Gandhi did not give up. He knew that the British Empire was weakening, especially after the war, and that India's independence was within reach. But he also knew that the country was deeply divided between Hindus and Muslims. While political leaders were negotiating independence, Gandhi walked from village to village, pleading for peace and unity among communities. He believed that freedom should not come at the cost of hatred. As India moved closer to independence, Gandhi's leadership became both more admired and more challenged. While many people saw him as the moral heart of the movement, others began to question whether his non-violent methods were still effective. Yet Gandhi stayed true to his principles, always choosing peace over revenge and understanding over conflict. After years of relentless struggle and sacrifice, Gandhi's dream of an independent India finally became a reality on August 15, 1947. The British Empire, weakened by World War II and the unyielding spirit of Indian resistance, agreed to end its colonial rule. But this triumph came with a heavy cost: the partition of India. The country was split into two nations, India and Pakistan, triggering one of the largest mass migrations in human history. More than 10 million people were displaced, and horrific violence broke out between Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs. Gandhi was heartbroken. He had always believed in a united India, where all religions could live together in peace. But now, the land he had fought for was soaked in blood. In the wake of this tragedy, Gandhi didn't celebrate independence. Instead, he went on a fast, urging people to stop the killings and embrace peace. He walked barefoot through the streets, comforting victims and pleading for unity. Many credited him with helping to reduce the violence, at least temporarily. Despite his efforts, tensions remained high. Some extremists believed Gandhi had gone too far in supporting Muslims and blamed him for the partition. On January 30, 1948, while walking to a prayer meeting in New Delhi, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by Nathuram Godse, a Hindu nationalist who saw Gandhi as a traitor. His final words, spoken in a soft voice as he fell, were, "Hey Ram, O God." The entire nation was stunned. Millions mourned. Across the world, leaders like Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela paid tribute to the man who had shown the world the true power of non-violent resistance. Gandhi had no political office, no army, and no wealth, yet he had shaken an empire and changed the course of history. His legacy lives on today. Gandhi's ideas of truth, non-violence, simplicity, and civil disobedience continue to inspire movements for justice across the globe. Streets, schools, and institutions bear his name. His face is on India's currency. His teachings are studied by scholars and embraced by activists. And yet, Gandhi's life also invites reflection. He was not perfect. Some have criticized his views on race during his time in South Africa, or his strict expectations of personal morality. But his commitment to peaceful resistance and human dignity remains unmatched. In the end, Mahatma Gandhi taught us that true power lies not in force, but in the strength of one's character, in love, and in truth. His story is a reminder that even in a world full of injustice and hatred, one person, armed only with conviction, can change everything.